Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to day 9 of the Global Wellness Challenge. We're here all around mental health. We're coming together and gathering and celebrating our incredible strengths, our weaknesses, our passion, our flow, and our potential to be living our full life as intended. So thank you all so much for being here. My name is Matt Riemann. I'm your host, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity for all of us to come together. If you haven't yet registered, there is still time. Unify.org/global wellness challenge. You'll get access to Shay app. You'll get access to the community. You get access to 1,500 health professionals, doctors, psychologists, etc., here to support you with your mental health. And you'll get access to all the replays, all the sessions. So please go ahead and register now if you haven't, and take advantage of this incredible opportunity. It's all free. It's all here for you. And today we're talking about healthy habits. Each day we've had a theme, and today's healthy habits. And healthy habits, just for a recap, in case you missed this morning's session, is all about understanding the world through a different lens to start with. So hopefully throughout this week, you've been dialing in, you've been really enjoying understanding more about you, about how your mind works, about how your body works, and just understanding a whole new paradigm of how we see things in a specific, unique light, and just knowing that you understand that everything for you is just about you. So the whole message here, almost for the entire week, is just do you. So when your friend says here, hey, let's do boot camp at 5 a.m., it's the best time, you can say, well, hang on, I don't know if it's the best time. It might be for you, but it might not be for me. Or it might be for me, but it might not be for you. Or if your friend says, I've heard about this new food on the radio, it's the best superfood ever, you say, well, actually, I don't know about that. This food might be really good for you, but it might not be good for me. It's not about the food anymore. It's actually about the person. It's about us, and how does that food get processed by my unique body compared to your unique body? Or somebody says, I'm doing a new fasting diet. Do you want to do it with me? Say, well, I don't know if that's good for me or not. Regardless of the marketing or the hype out there, let me just see and check in with my biology to see what's actually good for me to do. And so this is all information that we've been bringing this week. It's all personalized for you. You now have the personalization lens that you'll never be able to remove. So whenever anyone says anything about this food is amazing, or this new program's amazing, this new mindfulness technique's the best, everything is different for everyone. And so you just find out what is right for you. This is the key to changing and creating healthy habits. It's got to resonate with you. It's got to be sticky for you. It's got to work for you. So repetition is also important. So we develop new pathways in our neurons when we actually do things repetitively. And that's a key piece to what we're bringing to the conversation here today is please set yourself a goal, practice it, and repeat. Set yourself a goal, practice it, and repeat. The research and the literature shows it takes us sometimes 60 to 90 days to create a new habit. It takes us usually 21 days to break one, but it takes us a little bit longer to make a new habit and create a new habit. So please put the time in to practice it. All the information and the support and everything is here. And when you make those changes, they stick, and it can be really, really powerful for you. So just make sure you go about that in the right way for you, but practice makes perfect, and the easier it becomes. So an example we used this morning is having a rock in your shoe. If you go to put your shoes on in the morning, you're going to go for a run, you finally get there, and there's a rock in your shoe, you go, oh, it's too hard, this is just not meant to be, I just won't run today. Versus saying, you know what, I'm just going to take the rock out of my shoe and put the shoe back on and go for my run. So again, making sure you make those choices, the easy choices versus the hard choices. What comes naturally to you? What's going to have a great impact for you? What's the right support that comes around that for you? And is it important enough for you to actually have a driver or a motivation that you're going to do it or going to want to do it? So these are the questions that are really important to ask yourself, or the criteria that's there. If it's easy, do it. Please try and do things that are easy. If things are hard, if it's difficult with too much logistics going on, if it doesn't make enough difference in your life to do all this work for like a little bit of reward, or if there's too much else going on in life, you're going to find it hard. So we're really inviting you to find what's easy, to do things that come naturally to you. Just go with a place of flow right now. Some quick wins on the board, get some momentum, make some great change, and start to create those healthy habits. Because if you can do things that are easy, you start to push yourself and move towards a space of flow. And if you start to move towards that flow and you start to get in rhythm and in a pattern that's there, you'll start to build your resilience, which makes it a lot easier to do things that are a bit more difficult or hard or challenging later. So start easy. And if you've been doing this forever and you're a seasoned veteran at this, then sure, challenge yourself till the cows come home. But if you're just getting started and it's something that you find difficult, start with the easy things, start with the quick wins. And so we've got some tips that we went through this morning. I'm just going to refresh these because I know lots of people are busy in the morning and they only get to dial in the afternoon. And so around the health types that are here, which all of you are familiar with by now throughout the week, they're just ways that we actually scientifically quantify someone's phenotype, which is the expression of your genes. That's how you look in the mirror and how even you think when you look in the mirror. And it's understanding about your cells and the genes and all the complex scientific stuff behind the sack of skin that you see. And each person ends up as in somewhere around this distribution curve. And depending on where you are, you've got a lot of people that are similar to you. And on the opposite side, a lot of people that are very different to you. This just highlights the conversation around personalization so clearly to say that if you're an activator, if you land somewhere over here, you're very different to the person who's opposite over here. Or if you're a crusader, you're very different to a guardian. It's really obvious when you say it like this and when you can see people like this. Of course, if you're a crusader, you're different to every other crusader. There's no crusaders that are the same. This isn't anything that's trying to sort of group people together as one type. It's just helping you understand who you are and your similarities are there and how you're different to other people. And so generally speaking for activators, the biological drivers for you are just so important to understand that focusing on the short term or the medium term is about as much as you want to go. So give yourself a goal for the day is fantastic. Even a goal for the morning is great. A goal for the day, a goal for the week, starting to be like, okay, I can give myself a weekly goal. Pushing out monthly goals, starting to stretch the friendship a little bit. A goal for the year is starting to get just a bit too much. In fact, most activators find it a bit difficult to set like, oh, here's my New Year's resolution. I want to do this for the whole year and do those sort of things. It's a process they go through because everyone else does, but it doesn't really resonate so much with them. So, of course, everybody's different, but short term is the most success. If you're an activator listening to this right now, make it related to a challenge. If you challenge yourself or others challenge you, you're more likely to engage in it because you always want to win. Competition is such a great driver for you. So use that to your advantage. It's an amazing gift that you have, and go all out. So be all in with everything you're doing. Like give it 100%. Activators you have so much energy, the most energy out of every other type. Just go hard and then rest, and then go hard and then rest. So give it everything you've got until you need a break, and then do that again. Competition with friends if possible. So try and get friends in, have a bit of friendly banter, have a bit of a laugh, do what you're doing. It really helps you to have some fun and enjoy what you're doing, and you'll get some really great outcomes no matter what it is. If this is body related things, if this is mind related things, if anything on a spiritual journey, a spiritual path, a conscious conversations, anything, the principles apply to whatever you're doing in life. Now, if you're on the opposite side here, if you're a diplomat, you might be listening to what I just said and might be thinking, wow, that's like way too intense for me, Matt. It's true. So what you should be doing on the diplomat side of things is making sure, first of all, whatever you're doing, it's got a meaningful outcome attached to it. So you guys are driven by meaning. If there's something that's really meaningful and you understand it, it makes sense for you, and it's really compelling for you, you're likely to step towards that and lean in on those conversations. So have a meaningful outcome with whatever it is that you're doing. So whether it's a physical thing or a mental thing, take simple steps. So little steps get you towards where you're going. That's what we're looking for from a diplomat point of view. Make it pleasurable. So a pleasurable journey means that you're actually going to do it. It has to feel good for you. So pick things that feel good. If you're doing something physically, if you're looking at foods, if you're looking at moving your body, if you're having mental conversations, if you're trying to address stress or anxiety, depression, make sure you're picking strategies that help you feel good along the way. So just going straight hard into a challenge like an activator is going to be really difficult for you. And if you do it, you're likely to not want to do it again in a hurry and have those patterns where you just sort of step back and away. So make it simple, make it easy, make it fun and pleasurable, make it feel good, and have regular check-ins along the way to see how you're going and to recorrect and course correct as needed. If you're a crusader, your goals and your things need to be focused more on your medium term, even medium to longer term. But medium term, this is where you want to set stuff. If you're setting a goal for the morning, you're probably not going to feel very fulfilled. Weekly goal would be good. Daily goal if you want, but weekly goal is good. Monthly goal is great. Maybe a yearly goal, but definitely like a weekly, monthly goal where you're focused on achieving your best. You're usually competing with yourself. So often you're going against your personal best. You also like to compete against others, but against your best, against yourself. It has to be connected to your vision and for your mission. So make sure it's purposeful in nature. So where diplomats, it has to be very meaningful. Yours has to be very purposeful, and make sure you've got data that's trackable. So if you can track things along the way, if you can make sure that you can look at a sleep tracker or health trackers, they're the best for crusaders. even if it's writing down stuff old school on a piece of paper, entering stuff into your journal in Shay, something where you can look back and see the progression that you're making or not making that will inspire you and motivate you even more to keep going. So that's our tips for our Crusaders. Our Guardians, on the opposite side of Crusaders, long-term focus. So set long-term goals. Don't try and have any quick wins. It will always be a disaster. It's very difficult for you. You've got the bigger engines. Once you get going, you are going with great momentum, but it takes you a bit longer to get going. So simple steps, make it easy, and easy progressions is really the key for you. It's really, really important that you don't do a Crusader or a Sensor can just say, great, okay, clear out the pantry today, and as of tomorrow morning or as of the next hour, I'm not eating this for the next month. No problems at all. They'll just do that and they make the decision, they're done. Guardians, I'm sure you probably tried it before. It'll never work. You need to say, okay, Guardians is like, okay, I'll try tomorrow, but it means I'm going to eat all the stuff in the pantry now because I don't want to waste it. So this is a Guardians, you guys, it's biologically driven. This isn't psychology. This is biology. You conserve the most out of everybody. It's how you're built and how you're designed. So just know that, take your time, set your goals, and more importantly, which family are on board and who's keeping you accountable. That can be your immediate family, your blood family, or it can be the family that you choose. Either way, just make sure you've got people around you who you love, who are connected with you, that can do the journey with you, or be there to support you, or help keep you accountable in whatever way that works for you. So make it simple, make it easy, but to take your time to get there. Sensors, is it logical? This is the key. Does it make sense? Yes, great, you're good to go. Is the information credible? If yes, you're good to go. If no, you won't do it. So make sure you trust the source that you're talking to for whatever it's there. Make sure everything that you're doing is evidence-based and scientifically validated, like what we do with Shay, developed by scientists and doctors. This is just really, really key to you. Do you have all the information you need? If you've got the whole full context and it's logical, it makes sense, and it's credible, you're good to go. So set yourself up for success, Sensors. You are the most intellectual out of all the types. So make sure you have all the data, make sure you have all the information you need, get yourself in a space where you feel really comfortable, make your decision, and then off you go. You guys can sort of spin on a dime as of tomorrow, as of today. Let's get started. So just follow that process for you from the intellectual, logical place, and you'll be set up for success. And if you're a connector that's here, just make sure you have healthy friends around you whenever you're doing anything. This is for physical things, for mental things, for even spiritual or conscious things. You're naturally wired to, you're the highest or the biggest intensity for extroversion out of all the different types. So extroversion by the true definition means that you need external energy to actually function at your fullest. So for those who are introverted, doesn't mean that you're not social and outgoing. It just means that you don't need to have external energy. You can actually generate that yourself. Connectors need to have other people around them to function at their best. And so make sure you've got healthy friends around, because you've got external energy that fuels you. If you've got friends that aren't very healthy, you're going to tend to be not very healthy as well. If you've got friends who are healthy, you're going to tend to be healthy. So be around healthy friends, and most importantly, be the healthy friend for other friends, so you can really inspire them and influence them in great ways too. So things that bring people together. So do things that make connection happen. You are connectors, and make it fun. You love to have fun. If you're out in the park doing things, take some music, have a laugh, like do something silly to people walking past. This is what you guys do to be in your natural flow state, and you are the most incredibly fun people ever. So stay in your fun zone, stay in your flow zone, and keep things short in duration. You also like to have the most variety out of everybody, and you need the most variety of everybody. Doing the one thing for too long just bores you to boredom. And so please make sure that you take things short duration, have lots of fun, be around amazing, healthy people. So these are just some tips. And again, I hope that we can really stress the importance and make it really obvious, this personalization lens. And look at this is just talking about people. Now, we always go about the day thinking everyone's the same. You can see just what body type and shape you are, how your brain is wired, how you think, act, and behave. This gives a lot of very clear understandings about how people will approach things differently to get the same outcome, which is all about changing healthy habits. So again, I hope you've got those great takeaways from these conversations, that just you are different, just do you. So what's best for you will change as you do you. So just make sure you understand. I won't go through the details of this, but as an individual, there's a lot of things that change regularly for you, from the way you move your body to how much sleep you get, to how stressed you are, to what food you're eating, or all those sorts of things. They're always changing. And as you're changing, what you need to do changes to be healthy and to be happy. Shay considers all this in the mix, which is really great. So you've got a tool and technology to support you. But these are the things that you want to just be considerate of, is that you're a different person. Don't just pick it up or follow something it tells you as a food plan and think that's you done for life, because it's not true. You're a different person now to who you were a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. And you're a different person now to who you will be in a week or a month or a year or 10 years from now. So just make sure you are aware that you change. And as you change, you need to do things that support who you are at that time. So Shay's designed to change with you as you change, which is really cool. The foods that you eat is really important. That's one of the biggest things for people to change habits to get started. Can have a huge impact on your health, both your mental and your physical health. And the environment around you has a huge impact as well. So as you're traveling, as the seasons change, if you're exposed to chemicals or COVIDs or other contacts with social engagements, these are things that actually change who you are and change your internal health quite significantly. We know that if you get sick or whatever, it's pretty obvious, but otherwise there's a lot of things that change. So just make sure you're staying on top of all these things. And again, it's a lot to keep up with. So that's why you have an app like Shay that can do it all for you and think for you. And what Shay does in the background, which you don't need to worry about, but this is what's actually how you look in the background, is this complex interaction between certain genes and certain expression of genes that happens that helps us understand, or helps the AI understand, what's happening with you at this point in time and the things to do to counteract that, to bring you back into balance, so that if you haven't slept more than 3 hours for the last 3 nights and you're highly stressed and you decide to go for a 10-mile run this morning, then Shay might balance things and add a banana to your smoothie recipe to give you more energy throughout the day. But then in a couple of days, once you have been sleeping really well and you've got 8 hours a night for the last 3 nights, and then you're not stressed anymore, but you're not doing much exercise, it'll give different advice for you. So it's constantly understanding who you are and changing as you change to match who you are. So just understand that there's a lot of powerful insights behind the curtains that you don't necessarily see, but it's really important to know that Shay will give advice that changes as you change. And how that shows up for you in the app, you'll see in your chrono, in your body clocks for meals, for example. Some people will have 5 meals a day, some people will have 3 meals a day. And this is really important. Some people have 2. Some of you will be watching this right now saying, I don't even have breakfast showing, I've just got lunch and dinner. If Shay's showing you just lunch and dinner, it means it's saying you should be doing fasting in the morning, first meal is at lunchtime for you. For some of you, we're looking at this saying, I've got 6 meals throughout the day. And yeah, you would have. You've got you might have a metabolism that's really high. You need to be eating smaller amounts of food at regular intervals throughout the day for your body and for your mind. So this is the power of having this artificial intelligence that can understand and quantify your biological needs and your biorhythms and match these things together to really help give insights that we just haven't seen before in humanity at all. So it's really next level, really pioneering work that the whole team has been up to. It's really cool. So take advantage of it. It's all yours for free to access throughout the challenge. So please get in there and learn some information about you. And again, just know it's about you. It's not about the broccoli. Some of you have broccoli and some of you have broccoli that's not recommended. This is, healthy foods, kale that's there for recommended or not recommended for others. So this is just understanding it's not about the food, it's about you. It's not about the exercise, it's about you. It's not about the mindfulness journey, it's about you. And all the things that are there are specific and unique for you. So please take advantage of that, and please jump into your apps and just learn more about you. This whole challenge is about awareness and understanding things that can help your mental health. These are all inside here. So keep doing what is right for you. This morning we set ourselves some goal. Today, this afternoon is just a reflection. If you haven't had a chance to do this, there's still plenty of time throughout the day. So why is health and wellness important to you now? So these are some great questions to ask. Know that this will change over time and revisit it as you change. So check in. It doesn't have to be every hour, every day, every week. Just check in regularly when you feel like you need to. What's happening? What's the latest in your world? What do you need to do right now to be healthy and happy? And some other questions. So what have you committed to? What have you given yourself a commitment for to be able to change your healthy habits? So have you committed to saying, I'm not going to eat this specific food for this week, or I'm going to have a sugar detox next week, or I'm going to eat just the top 3 suggested foods on my list for the next week, or I'm going to move my body once this week, or I'm going to do more steps, or I'm going to be more mindful, I'm going to take a stop and do a meditation once a week, or I'm going to be really positive in the way I think, or if I'm feeling upset, I'm going to change my perception of what's happening and just know that it's a gift in the moment and actually change how I'm feeling and feel good about the situation and grateful for it rather than upset by it. So what is it that you're committing to do in your health journey that you can do to actually change your behaviors? More than you, What is it you know that will support someone else? We've talked a lot about this journey so far in these 9 days, about this is not just about you, it's about everyone else on the planet too. Starting with you, starting with our inner journey, starting with inner peace and achieving that, our peace of mind, but then supporting others on their journey to be the same. And that's actually how we change the world. If all of us can just change our own journey, suddenly we change the world. It's as easy and as simple as that. So an aligned collective of people is more powerful than the individual. So everyone today, let's co-create the power of community and let's do this together. So thank you so much for being here on this journey and on this beautiful day 9, healthy habits. We're going to switch gears now. And again, we really, really appreciate you being here and all the conversations that we're having around mental health. I'm just so grateful for the community that's gathered around all of us today in the Facebook group. If you haven't jumped in yet, please do. There's so much support that's there for you if you need it right now. If you're suffering, if you're struggling, we've got support here for you, doctors, psychologists, and so many people that are there just on standby just for you. If you're having a great time in life and you feel like you're in flow and don't need that, that's even better and more reason to jump into the Facebook group and share that with others and support others and motivate others and inspire others, because this is more than you. This is about everybody else. So I'm going to just switch gears now and hand over to Anne Larson to take us into a meditation, to stop whatever we're doing in our lives right now, just for the next 10 minutes or so, and just to come into this beautiful present space. Just be present, be here with Anne for the next 10 minutes and just enjoy all the health benefits for your body and for your mind while we're here. So Anne, over to you. Thank you so much for leading us right now.
Welcome to our reflection on healthy habits. To begin with, just push your feet into the floor so that we become very present in the current moment. And take your attention to your breath. Just take 3 breaths, noticing what does the air feel like around you? What physical sensations can you feel? What can you hear? Before you close your eyes, what can you see around you? Right here, right now, in this moment. Remembering that if any other thoughts come up, we are not going to battle with our thoughts. We are simply acknowledging them and then putting them on leaves on a stream, just watching them float by. They come and go. We don't need to keep paying attention to them. And now we're going to do a body scan, just starting at the top of your head and noticing, what does that feel like? You can close your eyes, or you can have your eyes open if it's not too distracting. What does your hair feel like? Is there any sensation of breeze around your head, your face? You may notice little twitches or itches. They will pass. And now take your attention down to your neck, your throat, down into your shoulders. If you notice any tension, just take your attention to that for a moment, and then we're going to move on down into your chest, your lungs, all the way down your arms to your hands. Feel your hands resting in your lap or resting by your side. And now take your attention down through your torso, into your thighs, what you can feel on the outside, on your skin. Can you feel any sensations on the inside? Down to your knees, your calves, your feet. What can you notice there? And now in this mindful position, you're going to take your attention to your healthy habits and what you noticed over the past hours, 24 hours, day or days, week or weeks, months. What did you notice about your healthy habits? What about from when you woke up in the morning? And you may notice that you went on automatic pilot, but now that you've been practicing mindfulness, you were able to notice what it was that you were doing. What did you do first thing in the morning? Did you race out of bed and go and do some exercise because that's what makes you feel good? Was that a healthy habit for you? Or did you know that for you, a nice slow start is much better? And you noticed that you had been rushing around, that it wasn't serving you. And sitting in bed having a beautiful herbal tea, first thing in the morning calmly, was a new habit that you wanted to bring into your life. And what about when it came to breakfast and you ate something? Were you mindful about the habitual way that you eat and what you eat? Did you notice how your body felt when you were eating? Did you feel like that was fitting with a healthy habit and a healthy way of eating? Did you notice that you feel better if you eat earlier, or if you eat later, or if you eat something that's very light or something more moderate? What did you notice? And then what about as you were preparing for the day, moving forward in whatever you needed to do? Did you notice that now being mindful, you could notice that sometimes you weren't even breathing very well, that you were spending a lot of time holding your breath? Or did you notice that you were really staying very present and being conscious of having a flowing breath and not creating the tension that occurs when you start to hold your breath? How did you notice that you related to people? Were any of the healthy habits that you have or you wanted to create around just how you conduct yourself in your community and in your relationships? What went well for you? Perhaps you noticed that because you created some new habits around sleep that we call sleep hygiene, that actually when you woke up in the morning you felt much better. And that habit in itself had a lovely ripple effect, that you were in a better mood, that you had more patience, you had more compassion for the people around you because of that healthy habit. How did you notice that you were interacting with those people around you that you feel close to? Or perhaps it was habits of thinking that you were thinking about, healthy habits of thought. Noticing that when you take your attention to perhaps some reframes or some positive thinking, that made you feel a lot better. Maybe you were engaging in some practices of kindness as a habit, or gratitude as a habit. And how did that unfold as you came to the end of your night, or you're coming to the end of your evening, and you're reflecting Do you feel like you really were supported the most that you could be by your habits? Or do you feel like there's some more tweaks that you need to make? That there's more habits? This is the wonderful thing about habits. If you take your attention to what you wish to change, then you really can create possibility for different ways of being in your life. And sometimes it may be more challenging than others to change that habit. And if you are finding it really challenging, then find support. As part of the human tribe, we often need someone with some different skills or knowledge or way of being. We need to bring them into our life to really aid us, support us, or educate us, or motivate us to create new habits. So if you were struggling, who do you think that you could invite into your life to support you, to give you the help that you really need in that moment? And finally, think about something that you did today that was wonderful. It was a habit that really supports you, that really has you feeling great. And whether that greatness is it makes you feel connected to others, it makes you feel relaxed, makes you feel warm and fuzzy, makes you feel efficient and productive. It makes you feel like you're experiencing your life to the fullest. Whichever one of those. Think about that. And think about how great it is when we create healthy habits that support us in that manner. Now finally, we're going to push our feet into the ground again. Take your attention to your breath. Take 3 deepish breaths, whatever's comfortable for you. Bringing your attention to the here and now, the sounds and then sensations around you. And then open your eyes, become present, bringing you that feeling of how energizing it is to be engaged with healthy habits.
Thank you so much, Anne, for a beautiful, beautiful meditation as always. We're really, really grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for sharing all of your genius and all of your passion with us on this mental health journey. Now we're going to switch gears to our next guest here. We've got an incredible speaker. Bobby is here today. Bobby Cappuccio is here. He's an international renowned presenter, author, coach in the area of wellness, behavior change, cultural development, communication and leadership. He's trained, coached and developed teams from all over the world. He's co-authored multiple textbooks. He's a best-selling author, has written hundreds of articles for prominent trade publications. He's been a regular guest on podcasts, radio shows, including BBC Radio with Paul Ross. You can listen to Robert and his inspiring guests share their insights and expertise every week on his podcast, The Self-Help Antidote. So today, Bobby's going to talk to us about healthy habits. And according to the latest definition by World Health Organization, health is no longer defined as merely the absence of disease, but as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And it's not only help us to discover the most meaningful aspects of identity, but it can build a behavioral bridge between where we are in our current state of health and living, our fully engaged life, and the things that matter and make us feel most alive. Bobby, you are here to share more this on that right now. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much. It's great to see you again. Thanks for being here to share your genius and insights with us today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to speak about this topic because this is one of these subject matters where no matter who you are and what's important and what's sacred to you, The formation of healthy habits and sustainable behaviors ministers to that. It actualizes that, and it helps people express themselves more fully as individuals and connect to each other more meaningfully as communities. And I think before we get started, I just want to thank Shea Wellness, thank all of you for taking the time. And I just want to pause for a minute and talk about some definitions. When we talk about healthy habits and sustainable behavior, I think it's important to clarify, well, what exactly do we mean by that? Because to be fair, not everybody, but some people kind of look at health the same way they look at oxygen. Well, I know it's really important and I wouldn't want to go without it, but as long as I have it, well, it doesn't really take up too much mental space. I don't spend that much time thinking about it. And I think that attitude has been created largely in part by how we've defined, especially in the West, what health is. Traditionally, health has been defined as the absence of disease. So if I don't have disease or if I don't have infirmity, okay, well, I guess I'm all right. In the past few years, we've completely re-examined and reframed and redefined what it truly means to be healthy and why that's important, no matter who you are and where you are within any stage of life. Even organizations like the WHO, and by the WHO, I mean the World Health Organization, not necessarily the rock band, although really great music, so well done there. But the World Health Organization basically defines, as we just heard, health as the complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So I think what that means, if we take a moment to examine why does that matter, wellness begins, or health rather, begins with identifying what's most meaningful to me. What is it within my life that when I express that, I feel most alive. I feel like I'm most myself. And how do we optimize the physical, the mental, the social, and I would add the emotional and also professional aspects of our life so that we can be in a consistent state of thriving in the pursuit of that which matters most. And to me, that's health. And that's why health is so critical. What about behavior change? Well, behaviors are direct precursors to outcomes. They're the foundations of a cause and effect relationship between what we do and the outcomes that we at least influence. But if behaviors are the precursors to outcomes, and no sustainable change is possible without first creating a behavior change, what sustains behaviors? And habits sustain behaviors, but what creates successful habit formation? Because if you open up the literature, there are outstanding researchers in the area of habit formation. There's people like Paul Taylor, B.J. Fogg, Charles Duhigg, James Clear, and all of them have outstanding information on what creates a habit. And if you took a look at all that information, you compiled it together and you dissected through it, you could say arguably, in order to create a habit, you need three things. You need a trigger or an environmental cue. You need a behavior, and you also need some type of reward. So if we know what creates habits, why do so many of us still struggle with going out and at least initiating, and not to mention sustaining the process of creating the habits that will support the behaviors, that will support the changes in the areas of life that are so important to us? I think the answer to that could be complicated, but I want to simplify it and talk about three things. I want to talk about teleology, which is the exploration, the study of meaning. I want to talk about identity and environment. So for about 20 years, I was a presenter in the health and fitness industry and a consultant. And I would travel around the world and visit many health club chains. And I got to know hundreds, if not over 1,000 managers within my travels. And out of every fitness manager I've ever encountered. I have a friend of mine who is probably one of the top 5 fitness managers I've ever met in my life. And a lot of that has to do with how she frames her role as a manager and as a leader. She loves her team. She's completely dedicated to the support and development of them, and her performance shows. She has broken record targets and has become the single most successful fitness manager in every organization she's ever worked with. But there was one thing throughout a lot of her career that she was struggling with. She was a smoker. And not only was she concerned about smoking because of the future health ramifications, she just thought it was so incongruent between what she was doing as a career and who she was being as a smoker. And it bothered her. And she doubled down on a strategy that had worked for her so many times, but failed her in every single instance. And that was white knuckling her way through discipline and willpower to smoking cessation. She failed so many times in her attempt to quit smoking that at some point she just gave up. She just gave up on quitting smoking and just said, you know what, I'm a smoker, and that's it. And as soon as she gave up trying to quit smoking, within 1 year, she walked away from cigarettes and never went back to smoking again. Now, you heard that right. I know some of you are thinking, wait, did this guy forget to pay his brain bill this month? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Let me give you a little bit of context around this story. So she got hired to work with an organization that required that she pick up and move across the country. So when she moved across the country, she was excited about her new role and she loved the company, but she quickly discovered that she was far from home. She was far from her family, and she was far from her friends, and she was in her personal life after hours extremely lonely. So she was super excited when she met someone in a coffee shop. They struck up a conversation. They seemed to hit it off quickly. And this person said, hey, you know, me and my friends, we're getting together this Saturday. Why don't you come hang out with us? And she was like, yeah, sure. And she didn't ask too many questions. Turned out that what they meant by hanging out is that person she met in a coffee shop, well, she belonged to a track and field team. So she was just excited to get around people. The people seemed really cool. She joined track and field. And within about 10 days of being on the team, the coach pulled her off to the side and said, look, if you can do anything, and I mean anything other than track and field, I would encourage you to think about that. I mean, there are some really good book clubs that you can find in Los Angeles. It may be more suited to you because you're not a track athlete. Without going into the details of why that landed so hard and the story of her childhood and unpacking all of that, let me just say that that was the one thing to say to her that would light a fire underneath her. And she resolved at that point that she was going to defiantly not only stay on the track and field team, but improve consistently. And over the next couple of weeks and months, she did. And she got better and better and better. And she was no longer the worst person on the team. She was somewhere right in the middle, average. But then something interesting happened. She noticed that she wasn't going back to smoking anymore. See, being so deeply immersed in her personal life with a support group and people who shared her values in a culture that created the environment that pulled her toward that activity rather than her having to push herself towards its engagement, it shifted her identity. And she considered herself a track athlete. And track athletes and smokers are incongruent. So it wasn't by setting a goal and white knuckling her way to it. It was by finding an environment that was meaningful, that aligned with her values of teamwork. It aligned with her values of leadership, learning, and community. What I mean by community is this. A group is when people get together for a purpose. You know, there's a sale at the supermarket and we're lining up to buy cakes. We're a group of people, not necessarily a community. Or we go to a group X class. We're a group of people exercising together. But when those groups of people start to come together more frequently and consistently, and they start to become invested in the experience and outcome of one another, not just themselves, they morph from a mere group into a community. And when those people in that community start to embrace the same beliefs and values that shift their identity and direct predictable patterns of behavior, that's a culture. And that's why culture is so powerful. And she was in a culture that was incongruent with her habit, and she let it go. Now, when it comes to things like identity, there are so many variables. There's, of course, how we interpret past events, the stories we have in our head. There's our psychology, there's our neurobiology, there's our endocrinology, and there are genetic factors. And that's why Shea Wellness is incredible, because they really dig deep into the science behind what makes me and you uniquely me and you. And the greater depth to which we understand ourselves, the greater the accuracy of the compass that we can employ to help us find our way forward when sometimes we inevitably get off track. So when it comes to habit formation, step number one is knowing exactly what's most meaningful to you. When was the time in your life where things were going really well, where you seemed to feel alive and engaged in a state of flow? Who was around you? What was around you? And what were you doing? Were you facing challenges that were uncertain, but you watched yourself overcome them? Were you around a certain group of people? Were you learning? Was it humor? Maybe you found something that previously you weren't exposed to, like sport, or maybe the arts, and it was that appreciation of beauty and excellence. Step number two is, once we identify what's truly meaningful to me, if someone was giving my eulogy at a funeral, not to get morbid on you, but what would they say? What would I want to be most remembered for? And how would have wanted to make people feel? That's a clue as to what you value. The second step is a vision. And a vision is an image of the future where you're engaging in the things that make you feel most alive, the behaviors, not just the outcomes, but the behaviors that make life magical and make you come to life when you engage in them. So let's say that what you find most meaningful is learning, development, leadership, adventure. And 1 year from today, you want to get promoted into a position where you get to train and develop a team every single day and invest in them. But you also want to travel every few months with your family and go explore places and go on walking tours and learn about different cities and their history and go on arduous hikes and create memories that, when you string all of those memories together, it would create the tapestry of your family story. But in order to do that, you need to generate a couple of outcomes, because right now, your state of physical well-being and your energy is such that just getting out of bed or running upstairs to answer a phone in your office seems like an Olympic event. Well, you would need to increase memory, creativity. You would need to increase your learning capacity. You would also need some physical conditioning. You would need energy, endurance, physical vitality, all of these things. The final step 4 is, what behaviors will most support the outcomes that support the vision that allows you to live in alignment with your highest values. So let's take one simple behavior, because if you want to achieve anything big, sometimes it starts with something simple and very small. And one of the reasons for this is, if you start with one thing at a time, you progressively build self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to initiate and sustain behaviors that are in alignment with a desired outcome. And it also allows you to see what's working. So if you went to the doctor and you were sick and they gave you 5 prescriptions for 5 different pills, and something started working, they really wouldn't know what was working. And if you started suffering from side effects, it would be a lot harder to identify which one of those medications were producing that. So get really clear. The second thing I want to present is the how. It's something called a core habit cycle, which demystifies habit generation, but also has an element of observation that not only allows you to organize behaviors around you, but tap into what your motivational drivers are within you to keep you going and overcome inevitable setbacks. The C in core habit stands for cues, environmental cues, which we mentioned before. The O stands for observation, the R for rituals, and the E stands for enforce. And the way to enforce habits is through reward. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So the first thing is a cue. Let's say you decide that you want to start walking consistently. because walking helps you reduce stress, which helps you function better because it increases atrial natriuretic peptides in the body, lowering your stress hormones. Walking also is a great form of cellular conditioning, overall health, and well-being. It's also a great way to improve cognition so you can learn and develop for that promotion you're working towards. Because did anybody ever see the film with Brad Cooper where he took that pill? It was called Limitless, and instantly he tapped into this genius potential he had inside of him. Well, we really don't have a limitless pill in real life, but the closest thing we have to it is arguably exercise. So you know that the emotional state, the mood, the creativity, the capacity for learning and development and memory and everything related to the things you want most in life, walking directly contributes to that. So the first step is setting up a cue within your environment. Let's say you choose to walk first thing in the morning. One cue could be leaving your shoes, your running shoes, right by the front door or by the door of your bedroom. So you would have to either remove them or trip over them. So there's no avoiding it, and that provokes a behavior. Another example is if you were going to come home at the end of the day and you were going to start getting into your walking habit, leave the shoes right in the middle of the living room. Okay, so those of you who have obsessive compulsive personalities, that might be freaking you out. You could put a Post-it note that says run right on top of the remote on your coffee table. Because the great thing about a cue is not only that it evokes desired behaviors, but it also substitutes triggers that provoke unwanted behaviors. Here's an example. You come home from work and you're exhausted, and you're conditioned that the first thing you see when you open your front door is sofa, TV, and remote, without even thinking, because it's been conditioned as an automatic behavior pattern. You see the trigger, you engage in the behavior, you're sitting down, you turn on the TV before you even realize what's happening. Then you realize, oh, wait, I'm sitting on the TV. I'm supposed to be going for my run or upstairs working, just 5 minutes. After all, I've had a rough day. And then you're watching the History Channel. It's like, wait a minute, are you telling me that ancient aliens probably built the pyramids? Okay, I got to see how this turns out. And then 5 minutes turns into, well, a lot longer than 5 minutes. So it's not only the behavior that a cue provokes, but it's the behavior that a cue substitutes. Another great way of utilizing cues is habit stacking. By taking a behavior that's already ingrained, that you're already engaging in, and attaching a new desired behavior to it. So as an example, when me and my wife moved to our new neighborhood, we live about 1 kilometer from our local neighborhood coffee shop, which is a little over half a mile. Now, what I do is I put my car keys in a drawer where I'd have to really dig them out to find them. So I'd have to be intentional around getting my car keys. So I don't take my car and I walk to the coffee shop. Because for years, reading and learning and studying over coffee is one of my favorite things to do first thing in the morning. Now I can attach a new behavior, which is getting more movement, more steps throughout the day. And I get to walk an extra 2 kilometers just because I use the habit stack. So that's a great example. The next step is observation. Why is it, if we know so much about how to create habits, again, sometimes there's a disparity between we knowing what to do and getting ourselves to do it. The first thing we're going to observe is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is this goal in support of my vision and support of my highest values? When something's meaningful enough, your resolve will likely be deep enough. There is a strong link between relevance and success. So if your habit is, I'm going to become really good at archery, that's amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of benefits. But if your goal is, I want to utilize this to get that promotion and I manage a team of account managers, it might not be as relevant. And when things get stressful, you might let that go. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is this? And what if you come up with, a 5? You're somewhere in the middle. Well, what a lot of people do is ask themselves, why am I not like an 8 or a 9? And if you ask yourself that question, your brain will give you an answer and rationalize all the reasons why you're not an 8 or a 9. And in motivational interviewing, that produces something called sustained talk, where we are advocating to stay exactly the same. Where if you reverse that and you say, well, why did I not say a 2? Well, the difference between the level of relevance you have and a lower level of relevance, that rationale in that space elicits change talk, which is a strong predictor of success. The second thing is confidence. Scale from 1 to 10. How confident am I in my ability to follow through and actually sustain these behaviors, self-efficacy? If you're anything less than an 8, just reduce the size of the goal. So if you were planning on walking for 20 minutes, what if you walked for 15? What if you walked for 10 and reduce it to the ridiculous where there's no way in your mind you could possibly rationalize not doing it? So modify your goal until your confidence level increases to a level of 8 or more. And then this is critical, enjoyment. Think about things that you really enjoy. They're innately meaningful to you. And you have a level of confidence in your ability to successfully engage in them. These are the things that we don't have to motivate ourselves to do. We don't have to push ourselves. We don't have to go to a seminar. We don't have to read a book. We don't have to pump ourselves up. The activity pulls us toward it by virtue of what it's worth to us. So I remember many years ago, I got back from the road and I was exhausted after a road trip, jet lagged, and I sat down on my couch. It was about 10:30 at night. And I was so spent. If your name wasn't Netflix, I didn't want to be bothered. And then my phone rang. Now I looked at my phone. The name on my phone was my now wife. Well, I picked up the call. And she says to me, well, I just got out of a shoot and I'm down at the Time Warner building, which was just a little bit over a mile from my house. Would you want to come meet me for a late drink? Well, I mustered up unprecedented levels of enthusiasm and physical vitality. I went down to the coffee shop and bought myself a massive cup of coffee. And yes, don't judge me. I added espresso to it. And I walked all the way down. Okay, I didn't walk. I sprinted all the way down Broadway, drinking my coffee at the same exact time, approaching speeds equal to Usain Bolt. If Usain Bolt had only one leg and he was intoxicated at the time. But anyway, that's not really the point of the story. The point of the story was that 10 minutes ago, I couldn't even get myself off the couch for no one under no level of emergency. But when my wife called me, I was able to do that because the value she represented and the level of enjoyment I imagined getting to know her later on over drinks compelled me. So what's enjoyable? Here's another hack. I hate the word hack, but I used it, so we'll go with it anyway. Take something you really enjoy and connect it to a new behavior. If you're someone who loves comedy, listen to a comedy show whilst you're walking. Maybe you love a certain genre of music. Maybe you lack time to learn and develop for things that are critical to your job role, and you can use your walking time to also listen to an audiobook and get better and prime yourself for later on in that day and your career. But enjoyment is absolutely critical. And do it maybe with someone who you enjoy being around. Recently, my wife joined the yoga studio across the street from the coffee shop. Now I get to walk a couple of times a week with my wife, and we get to engage in conversation and spend time together. And some of you think, wow, that's a great idea. Others are like, I don't want to spend any more time with my spouse. Well, spend time with not somebody else's spouse. Habits are supposed to simplify, not complicate your life. But the point is, who do you know that can support you? Here's the power of social support. So Dr. Dean Ornish conducted an experiment years ago where he took 194 patients that needed bypass surgery, and he put them into a program instead that gave them all of the conventional interventions. They got smoking cessation information. They did yoga. They did meditation for exercise and stress relief. They made dietary changes that were conducive to heart health. But what he did that was different is he put them all into a support group where they can become a community and support one another and talk about issues, not just related to heart health, but anything. The study was 1 year in duration. After 3 years, 77% of the people who went through the program were still sustaining the healthy behaviors. This is in the same society where about 97% of the people who go through bypass surgery return back to some or all of the behaviors that necessitated bypass surgery in the past. Social support is critical. Next is rituals. Rituals add an element of specificity to habit formation. James Petraska, who is one of the co-founders of the trans-theoretical model of change, says that in his research, the more specific we are around a particular goal or a behavior, the greater the likelihood of success. So here's the difference between I'm going to walk every single day and something more specific. The worst advice that the fitness industry ever gave was, well, just eat less and move more. That's like a lifeguard telling someone who's in trouble in the pool, just, drown less and swim more. Technically, that information is correct. It's still pretty bad advice though, because it's not actionable. So I'm going to walk every day versus I'm going to be out on my walk every morning at 6 a.m. I'm going to walk for a duration of 20 minutes at an intensity where I could still speak, but my breathing is labored at Red Trolley Barn Park along the Canyon Path, Monday through Friday. Think about that level of specificity. When you have that level of specificity, it works in a few levels. Number one, it doesn't increase the likelihood that you're going to engage in all or nothing thinking and start to mislabel any failure, not as a single isolated event, or not as a person, but as a single isolated event, which it is. So we've all had this experience where Monday, I'm going to change everything. I don't know why we change everything on Monday, but it's just the day that we've designated. So we're going to start all over and we're going to start on a brand new diet. By the end of Monday, we realize we stuck to it. Tuesday, we stick to it. Wednesday, we stick to it. And we're kind of, if we're honest, feeling like a little bit of a legend. Thursday, we go out with friends and a scoop of ice cream takes advantage of us. Instantly, many people will go, oh, I blew it. I absolutely blew it. Let me just eat what I want to eat for the rest of the weekend. And then you start next Monday and you go through that perpetual vicious cycle where if you have specific variables around what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how often, that's just one variable. So if you were saying, okay, every single day, 1, maybe 2 meals, I'm going to eat healthy, however you define eating healthy, well, that one meal didn't matter. That was just a variable that informed you on how you could prepare and be more effective next time. Second thing is, every time you set micro variables around the languaging of, I will go for a run, I will do this at 6 a.m., I will run for 20 minutes, you're using multiple aspects of declarative language. In linguistics, language that is structured as I will, I'm ready to, or I am, is a greater predictor of change talk and therefore success than language like I should, I need to, or even I want to. Another factor why specificity works really well is if you say, well, I'm just going to go out and run, not only can you rationalize not doing it or catastrophize what happens when you don't do it because you're overwhelmed because you have all this generality that you can't really pull from to identify what went wrong, but you're also using a little bit more focus. You're using a little bit more planning, and it's just a little bit more effort. And when you have an intention in advance, and that intention is important and there's anticipation around it, and it requires a bit more focus and a bit more effort and planning, you secrete a bit more dopamine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine, which facilitates not only goal-seeking behavior, but learning, memory, development. So what this essentially means is the more specific you are around creating a plan to support the habits you want to create, the greater the degree to which you can leverage your endocrinology and neurobiology to support the successful formation of that habit, which is a virtuous cycle. So that becomes critically important. And the last component is enforce. And by enforce, I'm talking about reward. Now, here's 3 things with reward. First, keep it small. So if you say to yourself, well, after running for 2 weeks, I'm going to do a day at the spa, that's fine. But what happens is if doing a day at the spa means you have to move appointments around and then you have to call the spa and then it interrupts your weekends and things, and that becomes additive. That's not a reward. That starts to look like extra work. and we're already overwhelmed and busy. So make sure it's enjoyable, the reward, but it's also small and proximal. The closer you can get between the completion of the behavior that you want to make habitual and the reward, the more effective that reward is in creating the neural pathways that will support sustainable behavior. One thing you can do is use the journal in the Shay app, because when you're writing in a journal, that's kind of analogous to a to-do list. So do you ever know anyone who is just obsessed with their to-do list? They live by it. Maybe this person has the same last name as you and lives in your household. Maybe you see them in the mirror quite often. Well, the reason why those lists work so well is the same reason why when people say things like, when we wake up in the morning, make your bed first thing. Well, that seems like a really small activity. But if you think about it, setting an intention by writing a to-do list the night before and then actualizing that to-do list incrementally secretes dopamine through the ventral tegmental area of the reward pathway. And it activates a part of the reward pathway, the ventral striatum, which doesn't really deal with reward as much as anticipation of reward. So it initiates goal-seeking behaviors. And when you string those centers of the reward pathway together with the orbital frontal cortex, you prime your brain to look for goal-seeking behavior throughout the day to get more dopamine hits. So what that means is successfully completing a habit, even one small habit in the morning, could set you up for greater levels of success later on the day, every day. And that's really cool. And the third thing that I want to talk about with reward is incorporating other people. Because if you think about it, whatever you're setting out to do, you've done it already. There's been a time in your life where you were facing something new and challenging, and you were uncertain as to whether or not you could do it. And if you think about that, it was really hard because in a lot of cases, you were trying to do something you had never done before, which required you becoming someone you had never been before. But there were strengths that you had inside of you, whether that was perseverance, whether that was optimism, whatever attribute that helped you succeed in spite of the challenges. But there was also things in your environment, and there were people. And all things being equal, just like we talked about in the Dean Ornish study, social support is one of the most powerful predictors, not only of success, but of happiness. Because when we take a stand for one another and we invest in one another, we grow closer together. Dr. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, said that success like happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue as an unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself. And one thing I want to leave you with is when you start to incorporate people where you can send a text to someone and they send a text back like, hey, well done in your habit, and you go out and you could teach people what you're learning, it not only increases the probability that that habit will serve you long term, but it increases your probability that you'll be happier and have a more meaningful life. Back in 1938, one last thing, Harvard embarked on what became its longest running longitudinal study. They took 724 men from the Massachusetts area. Half of them came from some of the most affluent families in Massachusetts. One of the people that participated in the study that came from that group was President John F. Kennedy. The other half came from some of the most underprivileged and poor neighborhoods in the Boston area. Following them across 80 years, some of those people are still alive. They're in their 90s. What they found is the single common denominator to people who tend to be healthier and happier, because those two things are highly linked, are the people that engage in activities that strengthen the quality, not necessarily the quantity, of their relationships. When you find what and who you truly love the most, your resolve will be strong enough. Thank you.
Bobby, absolutely incredible information as always. I just love your enthusiasm, your passion, and the wealth of knowledge is just incredible. I'm sure everybody's going to be listening to this replay over and over again to try and even just catch up with all the bombs that you just dropped throughout that in an amazing way. If you want to hear more from Bobby, the self-help antidote is a podcast. Bobby, I just love what you share with everybody, and thanks for inspiring us today. So much to take from that, and if nothing else, I learned that making my bed in the morning, I now know why I do that. Thank you. This journey is all about ourselves and all about others around us. And thanks for helping us to consolidate that today, Bobby. So yeah, much respect, much love, and thank you so much for your time and for your genius and passion.
Thank you.
Switch gears now, everybody. We're going to get ready for our workout today. So we have the one and only Emma Masters that's here again today with us, supporting our workout. So please start to transition, get yourself into some workout gear or find a space wherever you are right now. Emma's an international fitness presenter and educator who strives to change the feeling of fitness. She's a fitness business consultant, group fitness educator, currently undertaking her most exciting project to date, her own boutique fitness studio Therapy. So Emma's straight into it today. Just to get prepared, there is a big workout coming. So please be prepared for that. And if not, that's okay. There's modified exercises. This is the time we get to move our body to understand how our body impacts our mind. So Emma, I'm going to hand over to you for this little workout session. And please get ready to jump straight into everybody. Here we go.
Let's get started on this block. The first exercise, 30 seconds on, 15 seconds of recovery. We're going to start with a warrior 3 to knee raise. Let's check it out what it looks like just before we start. So facing this side of the room, we're going to plant our right foot in the middle of the mat. The left leg is going to move backwards. We're going to draw the arms out at the same time as the leg lifts. Hips are square, arms reach, spine is long, and then we lift the knee all the way up to the sky and repeat. All good with that? Let's do this, 30 seconds, this side, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All the way down. Core is on strong, and then we lift up, knee to the sky. Good, really try and lengthen the whole body as you reach out, crown of the head, forward, leg lifts and reaches to the back of the room, and then we squeeze it up nice and tight. Good, we've got 10 more seconds left. We may feel this a little in that standing leg, in that glute, but really this is excellent for our balance, our stability. Nice work, lift it up and recover. Good work, shake it out. All right, we're now gonna go into our walk-ups with a push-up. So we're gonna start on the end of our mat. We're gonna walk out our hands to the end of the mat and then take a push-up, then walk it back. Are you ready to go? Let's do it. So we walk it out. G's gonna do a full push-up. I'm gonna take one on my knees. Or you can stick with Ellie and just leave the push-up all together. We drive it down, find that strong plank position. Take your push-up, chest to the ground. Bellies and glutes locked on. And if we want to make it a little more strenuous, you might even want to pick up your pace just a little. One more, let's go. All the way down. Hup. Nice work, you rest. All right, our next one is a knee drive with a small rotation through the waist. So we imagine reaching up, pulling our hand to our hip, driving the knee up, and then changing sides. Ready to rock? Let's do this, knees up, in 3, 2, 1, go. Lift it and squeeze. Good, so almost leaning back with that chest, reaching the hands up, driving the knees high. Not forgetting to breathe through any of these exercises, lifting those knees up and really finding that rotation through the waist each time you pull that hand to hip. Good job. We've got 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Recover there. We're now going to drop it down into a plank. Hands directly underneath the shoulders, feet behind you. We're going to drop the hips to one side and then the other. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Go. Drop the hips one side, then the other. One, then the other. Good. Even though we're dropping the hips and finding a little lack of control there, I still want you to find control through this movement. Notice Ellie's doing it on her knees. If that's what's good for you, please drop there. I'd rather you do that than lose that control. G's looking perfect down on his forearms. Whatever option you're taking, I want you to keep strong in it for 3 more seconds. 2, 1, and recover. Nice job. All right, we've got one more. This one's gonna raise our heart rate. So jump up. We're gonna take our feet wide. It's called fast feet. As fast as we can, light on the toes, get that heart rate spiked. You ready? In 3, 2, 1, go for fast feet. Use your arms if you can. Everything's gonna wobble and shake. That's what we want. Light on those toes. Fast as you can, right to left. It should start to spike that heart rate pretty quick. I want you to stay at the pace you set if you can. Let's go, team. Just as fast, all the way to the end. Don't forget to breathe. You got 4, 3, 2, 1, rest. Boom. Whew. All right, 1 down, 1 to go. Let's take that minute breather. All right, let's take that minute recovery, my friends. So grab a drink, towel down, whatever it takes for you to feel like your heart rate's coming down just a little before we spike it back up there again. I hope you're all feeling as good as we are. We can't wait to move through these next 5 exercises with you and then have that next minute recovery. All right, we've got about 30 seconds until we do so. So take that final wipe down, that final sip of water, and we're gonna set up our Warrior 3 to knee drive. This time we're gonna plant that left leg into the middle of the mat, the right leg sweeps backwards. Same thing, nice long spines, reaching arms, crown of the head nice and tall. Are you ready? Let's do it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice big reach. Leg gets extended out behind you and then we drive it up. Knee comes to the sky. Good. Open that chest up. Reach forward. Hips are square. Belly's braced and we squeeze it up. Good team. Try not to rush this one. We really want to find maximum balance, maximum stability here. If we wobble, if we fall down, we just keep on moving. Nice, and recover. Good work. Shake out those legs, we've got those walkouts. Now here's the extra challenge. If you want to make this one a little more harder for you, we just go at a little more speed. So this time, no rules apply, guys, fast as we can. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Crawl it out, drop into the press, or stay stable and stand it up. If you want to add an extra little bit, when you stand up, you could jump. Uh-oh, what are you gonna take, G? Are you gonna jump it?
Oh, I can jump it?
You can jump it. Get one in, go on. Yes, you got 10 more seconds. Nice work, Ellie. Keep pumping it out. Hup. One more, one more. And rest. Nice work. Whew. All right, those knee drives. This time, if you want to make this one a little more high energy, you could jump the knees. So I'm going to do that. These guys are going to stay standing, but remember, big drive to the opposite hip. 3, 2, 1, go. So we want to reach that hand up. Stay light on the toes if you're hopping it. If not, staying super stable, driving that knee high. Remember, you can always take moments stepping it and then bring it back to that high energy option. Good work. Reach and pull. Belly in, tight. We got 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Recover. Whew. All right, 2 to go, friends. Let's try that hip dip. Down we go. Remember all your options here. On the hands, on the forearms, dropping the knees, lifting the knees. You take what feels good for you, but let's take those dips. Side to side. Sweat should be dripping. Core should be on fire. But we love it, right? This is what we came for. 15 seconds. Don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling this. Stay strong for 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Woo, we got 1 more. It's those fast feet. Fastest feet wins. Up you get. Legs nice and wide. Ready, set. Let's do it, crew. 3, 2, 1, go. Fast feet. It doesn't look like much, right? And then you get moving. All of a sudden, the sweat starts dripping, the heart starts pounding. As fast as we can. See if you can increase your pace just by 1%. 15 seconds. You're so close to that big minute recovery. Earn it. Come on. All the way. Race to the finish line. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up. Minute rest. Successfully earned. And you too. Well done. All right, guys, let's go with our block of work. We've got 30 seconds of work to 15 seconds of recovery. And our first exercise of this block are skiers. So we're going to be light on the toes as we reach up nice and high, and then we're going to almost drag those skis all the way down and back to go again. Nice and hard and fast for 30 seconds, followed by that 15 seconds of recovery. Ready to go, guys? Let's do it. We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach up and ski. I want you to get nice and high on those toes, then pull down, bending those knees. Nice deep breaths as we reach up and ski all the way back. Nice work. You got 15 seconds. Let's get all of our body integrated into this. Big high reach, big long pull, bend those knees. Good job. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest that. Perfect job. All right, we're now going to make our way to the ground for plank jacks. So we're going to find our plank position, hands underneath the shoulders, up on those toes. We're going to be jacking the legs in and out, or follow Ellie and she'll take a step instead. Jack it in and out. Good. Now what we want to see are those hips still maintaining that perfect plank position. Try not to get those hips up too high. Instead, squeeze the abs, lower them down, and really focus on drawing those legs in and out. You can either step with control or continue with that jumping movement for just another 8 seconds. Let's go, team. Hop. You got 3, 2, 1. Rest there. Whew. Good job. All right, let's continue working those abs with our V set. Flip onto your backs. Jared's going to take the advanced option here. We're lifting both legs at the same time. Me and Ellie are going to be lifting one at a time. So we reach up, reaching for a leg, coming back down, hands behind. Good. Squeezing through those lower abdominals as we reach up for that leg, and then lowering with control as we drop. Very good, crew. Really focusing on making sure we're still breathing, squeezing that belly button back into the spine. Just a few more. And recover. Good work. All right, into the legs we go. Jump on up. This one's called a squat to lunge. So we're going to start in a deep squat, and then we're going to pivot into a lunge, come back to the squat, lunge the other way. Ready? Let's go. Squat, pivot. Squat, pivot. Now what we want to make sure we're doing is staying nice and low. But the pace is up to you. You want to take it a little slower with Ellie? Take it slower. You want to make it a little harder? You could even potentially jump the legs. Little hops on each movement, just to get that heart rate a little higher. You got 3, 2, 1. Whew. That is a burnout. We all feel that? Did you feel that? Yeah, give those thighs a little whack. All right, come on down. We've got one more. It's called our Superman. Gonna get into this prone position. Gonna have our hands out in front. Opposite hand lifts to leg. So right arm lifts with left arm, leg, and then the opposite side. Arm, leg, we're losing words now, right? It's because we're working hard, right, team? So squeeze and lift. Point those toes. Really want to work those low backs into those glutes. Very nice. We've just got a short 6 seconds left. Maybe one more rep. And when you're done, we get to rest. Woo. This is your minute recovery, guys. Use it wisely. Take a drink, towel down, high five your teammates, whatever you need to do to get that energy back in your body to do it all over again. So we've got about 30 seconds until we roll into the next set. It's the same 5 exercises. All that we ask is you try and challenge yourself just a little more, whatever that looks like for you. All right, so let's jump up. We're gonna hit those skiers. So remember, it's a nice high reach, followed by that big bend in the knees, just like we're pulling on a ski erg, if you've ever been on one of those. Ready to rock? Let's do it. We're going in 5, 4, 3, 1. Reach up and ski. Woo! Big reach, big bend, big deep breaths. Nice job. How are we going, crew? We feeling good? Energy is surging. Let's keep strong. Make sure you're breathing. Just 10 more seconds. Lift and drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Recover. Nice work. Down into that plank position for our plank jacks. Let's set it up. Nice and strong, hands under shoulders. Core engaged, legs back. 3, 2, 1. Let's jack it. Out and in. Remember, strong through that plank position. Hips in line with the rest of our body. Hands pushing away from the ground. Light on those toes. Jacking with G and I or stepping with Ellie. Good, you've got 12 more seconds. Keep up that pace. You've got it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Whew, that's a burner, huh? All right. Let's roll on over into our V-sits. The workout is doing what we want, right? Breathlessness, burn. Remember, one leg at a time. Let's go. Lift and drop. Lift and drop. Now you can come a little further off the floor, or you can just lift the chest area, so just the low back. Wherever you're at is absolutely good with me. G is smashing out those double legs. Everyone's looking awesome. Just a few more. And recover. Ooh, that is an ab burner. All right, let's take those burns down to the legs. Jump up for that lunge to squat. Ready? Let's get low. Let's get that back knee down every rep. Go. Squat, pivot to lunge. Squat, pivot to lunge. Remember, you set your own pace. Wherever you want to go with this, you go. But you want more challenge, you get that back knee down, you stay low even when you're changing positions. Remember, that little hop or jump is there. If you want an ultimate burnout, you've got 4, 3, 2, recover. Whew. That one is like a silent burner, I tell you. All right, we've got one more in the block, then that big minute rest. Let's get to that Superman. Opposite arm to leg lifts. Reach out, right arm, left leg first. Let's go. Squeeze up and down. Your own time, your own control. I know that heart is beating in your rib cage. How good does that feel? Especially how good does it feel when we know that we only have 15 seconds left and we get that beautiful big minute recovery. So keep going. Just a few more reps. 3, 2, 1. You earned it. Minute rest for everyone. Boom. Let's hit up our finisher round. You know what's about to happen. Tabata intervals, 20 seconds of work to 10 seconds of recovery. 2 exercises sure to finish this workout one way or another. Our 2 exercises look just like this. Our first one is a backward stepping lunge into a knee lift. Option to jump that knee for extra burn. Our second exercise is a squat to leg raise. We're going to be alternating sides each and every turn that we do, so just keep up with us and let's finish this together. It is 4 minutes total. I know you can do this. You ready? Powers on, crew. Let's do it. Let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 20 seconds. Step back, lift the knee. Step back, lift the knee. Remember, we want to try and get as low as we can, maybe even touching the ground with opposite hand, and then potentially as high as we can with that little jump. Nice, G, nice, Ellie. One more, and rest. All right, 10 seconds. We're going to come into that squat. We're then going to lift this left leg. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, squat and lift. Squat and lift. This one should be targeting right in the glutes. Do we feel it as we lift that leg? Then into the thighs we go as we drop into that low squat. Try and keep that beautiful form much as you can. 3, 2, 1. Shake it out. Oh man, 2 to go. Sorry, 2 down. Sorry, that was a bit mean, wasn't it? 6 to go. All right, middle of the mat. Right leg goes back. Go. Back and lift. Back and lift. Remember, if we can, get low with that hand. Get high with that little jump. Down and lift. Down and lift. You're so close. And rest. Woo. Let's set it up. Squat, lift that right leg. In 3, 2, 1. Squat, lift. Squat, lift. This exercise takes us to our halfway point. I know you're feeling good, and if you're feeling a little tired, all it takes is for you to dig a little deeper and tell yourself that you can. Because I know you can. Ellie and G do. Hold it there. And so you can. You're going to do it halfway. Woo. Are you ready? Back to that left leg. In 3, 2, 1. Go. Down and lift. Down and lift. How's those thighs going, crew? They're wordless. They're breathless. Me too. Little hop if you can. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I just feel like I have to slap my thighs. Do you feel like that? Try and get some of the burn gone. All right. Squat, lift that left leg. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Squat, lift. Squat, lift. Are you breathing? Are you holding back on me? Or are you going as low as you can? No cheating. No up in here. Not when we're this close. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we've got 2 to go. We've got 1 leg left. Let's finish this strong. Right leg goes back. Left leg stays still. Let's do it. Back, lift. Sweat is dripping up in here today. But we know that we can now see the finish line. And we want to hit it with you. So if you've got that little jump in you or that floor tap, take it. Take it. Rest. Oh man. 1 to go. Let's fist bump this one. I feel this needs more than a high five. All right, right leg lifts. Squat, go. Squat, lift. Squat, lift. Now, you are going to feel so good when this is done. I want you to do every single rep to the end. Don't give up early. Just don't do it. You've only got 5 seconds. 1 more rep. 3, 2, 1. You did it. These guys did it. You are finished. That was your workout. Awesome job. Woo.
Thank you so much, Emma, for an incredible session. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. What a great way to move the body and get the heart going. So we are here, hopefully got blood flowing through your body, through your mind. Everything is nice and clear. What an incredible conversation that we've been having today, all about healthy habits. We've had some incredible guests. We've had great conversations to really uplift us, inspire us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And what a beautiful way to wrap out on day 9. So tomorrow we've got an incredible conversation happening to wrap out our 10 days of challenge with the founders of Unify and with Shay, and to dive deep on this 10 days, what it's been all about. And we really hope that you've been able to dive deep. Again, if you're here, if this is new to you, unify.org/global wellness challenge, please get in there to dive deep. You get access to everything in communities, technology, all of the information, all the recordings that we've had this entire 10 days, such a wealth of information, all to do with your benefit for awareness around mental health, reducing the stigma and having great conversations. So we're here to flip the conversation. We understand we're all unique. We're far more than just our physical selves. Our mind's really the bridge between who we are physically and why we're here spiritually. Our mind has the power to empower us or disempower us. We have choices, we have tools, we have support, we have community to engage the story for ourselves and each other and really change what's happening. So let's remind ourselves who we are today, why we're here. Let's keep our perspective on what matters. Let's remember the context of things in our lives as just lessons and gifts that happen to us to help us learn and grow, to get out of any space that we might be in. Let's be really mindful of the way we perceive things, awareness of our world and reality that exists via our beliefs, and many of which often aren't ours, and we can change those. So let's just take ownership today of the meaning that we assign to people, places, or things. But let's be aware of what we choose, what we believe. Let's change the story anytime we like if we need to. Let's create positive experiences, bring more joy, more health, more hope, more happiness to ourselves and those around us today. Let's just really dive deep into that peace of mind and inner peace and really share that with ourselves and the rest of the world. So congratulations on making it to day 9 today. What an incredible feat to be here. I'm very, very grateful for these conversations and that we can all gather together in this beautiful community. And I'm going to leave you on that note today to have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, wherever you are in the world. And we get to dive deep into all about celebrating and reflecting tomorrow on the incredible journey that's been with the founders of Unify. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Look forward to seeing you.